I want you to think about someone you know. They're sharp, like genuinely smart. They did well in school, built a career, make good money. From the outside, their life looks fine. More than fine, actually. And yet somehow they're always a little stressed about money. Every month, their account feels tighter than it should. A raise comes, and somehow the relief only lasts a few weeks. Before the pressure creeps back in, they tell themselves they'll sort it out properly when things settle down a bit. But things never quite settle down, and if you pay attention, you start to notice this pattern isn't rare. It's everywhere. Some of the smartest people you know are still financially stuck. So the question I kept coming back to wasn't why do people struggle with money? That part's been talked to death. The question is, why do smart people stay broke? My name is Mary. I started this channel because I wanted to decode how money actually works. And honestly, because most finance channels are hosted by men, I figured it was time to add a female voice to that space. Today, we're getting into something that genuinely surprised me when I first learned about it. Why being intelligent is not enough on its own to build wealth. And honestly, why intelligence can sometimes quietly work against you when it comes to money. Here's the story most of us grew up with. Study hard, get a degree, build a career, and money follows. And honestly, that's not entirely wrong. Education really can increase your income. But here's the thing, nobody tells you clearly enough. Income and wealth are not the same thing. Income is what lands in your account every month. Wealth is what stays and grows, and the gap between those two words is exactly where a lot of smart, hardworking people quietly get stuck. Sometimes for decades, without fully understanding why. Because the skills that make someone successful in school, in their career, in their professional life, and those skills are genuinely valuable. But they're not the same skills that build wealth. They're a different game entirely, and most of us were never taught that the second game even existed. So you get a raise or a promotion, and naturally life upgrades a little. A nicer apartment, a newer car, better restaurants, a few more subscriptions. And look, individually, none of that is unreasonable. You worked hard, you earned more. Treating yourself isn't a character flaw. But quietly, almost invisibly, something happens. Your expenses grow to meet your income. Not all at once, it's gradual. One small upgrade here, one slightly nicer version of something there. And before long, the person making $120,000 a year feels just as stretched as they did at $60,000. The lifestyle expanded, but the wealth never started. There's actually a name for this, lifestyle inflation. And it's one of the most common reasons people with high incomes never actually feel financially free. The cruel irony is that the more you earn, the easier it becomes to justify each individual expense. Everything feels proportionate. Everything feels earned, but the savings rate stays flat and sometimes actually shrinks because the baseline of normal keeps quietly shifting upward. The fix isn't deprivation, it's just making sure that when your income grows, your savings grow first before your lifestyle gets the chance to absorb everything. Here's one that I think hits smart people especially hard. Smart people are used to solving problems by thinking through them, researching, comparing, optimizing. And that skill works incredibly well in most areas of life, like your career, your relationships, your health decisions. But investing punishes overthinking. I've talked to so many intelligent people who spent years trying to figure out the perfect strategy. Which index fund? Which allocation? Whether now was really the right time to get in, given what the market was doing. Whether they should wait and learn more first. And while they were researching, they weren't investing. Here's why that matters so much. Every year you delay doesn't just cost you 1 year of returns. It costs you 1 year of compounding. And compounding is the kind of math that seems unimpressive at first and then becomes almost hard to believe over time. The early years are quietly the most valuable ones, even though they feel like the least significant. Waiting for certainty before you invest is a bit like waiting for perfect weather before you start exercising. The conditions are never going to be ideal. At some point, you just have to start imperfectly and let consistency do its job. Here's the thing about wealth. It doesn't come from, making brilliant decisions. It comes from making decent decisions consistently for a long time. Let me give you a concrete example. Say someone invests $500 a month into a basic index fund. Nothing fancy, no complicated strategy, no market timing. And it grows at about 10% annually, which is roughly what the stock market has returned historically over the long term. After 25 years, that person has around $750,000. After 30, there are over 1 million, not because they were a genius, not because they timed the market perfectly or picked the right stocks, just because they started early and kept going. The strategy itself was almost boring. The consistency is what made it work. A lot of intelligent people are asking the wrong question. They're asking, what's the best investment? When the better question is, how do I build a system that invests automatically and keeps running for the next 30 years? Even when life gets busy, even when the market drops, even when I stop thinking about it. Because wealth isn't really built through brilliance. It's built through systems. Boring, automatic, unsexy systems that just keep running in the background while you get on with your life. The most powerful financial move most people can make isn't finding a better investment. It's setting up an automatic transfer on the day they get paid. So the money moves before they even have a chance to spend it. It removes the decision entirely. And removing decisions is often more powerful than making better ones. If you look at people who quietly become wealthy, not the flashy ones, the quiet ones, they tend to share a few really unglamorous habits. They automate their investing so they never have to remember to do it. They're intentional about lifestyle creep, not obsessive, just aware. They don't try to time the market or find the perfect moment, and they let time do most of the work. That's genuinely it. There's no secret strategy, no hidden knowledge, no perfect spreadsheet, just small actions done consistently for a long time. The simplicity is almost disappointing when you first hear it, but that simplicity is also exactly why it works. Simple systems are the ones people actually stick with. For a lot of people, the shift happens the moment they stop trying to feel rich today and start building wealth for the future. It sounds like a small mindset tweak, but it actually changes everything. Once investing is automated, once it's just happening in the background without you having to think about it, money stops feeling like something you're constantly chasing. It starts feeling like something that's quietly working for you, and that feeling over time is worth more than any individual investment decision you could ever make. Being smart is a real advantage in life. I'm not taking that away from anyone, but intelligence alone doesn't build wealth. Habits do. Consistency does, time does, and the earlier you start, the easier the whole thing becomes. Not because you'll make better decisions, but because you'll have more time for even your imperfect decisions to compound into something real. If this shifted how you think about money at all, I'd genuinely love to know. Drop it in the comments. How old were you when you first started investing? And if you haven't started yet, that's okay, truly. Because the best time to begin is the moment you actually understand why it matters. Also, if you're in the US or Canada and you're wondering where to actually start, I've put together a list of brokers I trust in the description below. Nothing complicated, just a solid starting point. Subscribe if you want to keep decoding this stuff with me. Next video, we're going into something that blew my mind a little. Why people earning over $100,000 a year can still feel broke. Thanks for being here. I'll see you in the next one.